So our next presenter is Dr. Kesner. He's a senior project manager with CVM professional, and he's a licensed professional engineer and structural engineer in numerous states. I think everybody knows Keith. He's currently serving on the tech, and then also he's the immediate past chair of ACI 562. He's very passionate and active in promoting the code adoption in multiple jurisdictions around the country. Keith, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Dave, for organizing this session. Thanks to Fred and Carol. I promise I'll keep this as short as possible to limit the torture. I also want to thank Benoit. You did most of the technical part of my presentation. And so there's a lot of lessons to be learned about sessions, organizing things. And when you get volunteered by somebody, generally check to make sure the tech note that you're going to talk about is one that you actually wrote and has pictures in it. Because I thought this would be an easy presentation to put together, but it wasn't, because this tech note has no pictures. But we got some great pictures in the presentation. And one of the things that's great about tech note is sometimes you get just unbelievably great language. Most likely this tech note was originally written by Alex Weisberg. But if you read those two sentences, everything that Benoit said, everything that I'm going to say is addressed in those two sentences, 2 periods and 1 comma. That's the great writing of Alex Weisberg, I believe, who originally wrote this. If you can do this, your repairs will be fine. So I just wanted to throw that up there. That's the beauty of some of the tech notes that have been produced. We'll move on. So why do cracks matter? Cracks are just generally bad. Pathway for aggressive agents, corrosion, freestyle. Larry talked about this. What they didn't mention really is this one. They look nasty. Nobody wants to have that as their parking structure. Nobody wants to have that as your seat in a football stadium. So they're a problem. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how we can reduce and control cracking and what the importance of some of the concrete repair materials properties mean. And this is some of the essential beauty of Fred Goodwin. All cementitious materials can crack. Yes, it is true. Cracks occur. Alex always used to hammer me on this. Tensile strain capacity, not necessarily the strength. When the strain capacity is exceeded, they crack. That can be load, restraint. Most likely it's restraint, displacement. And restraint is shrinkage. Shrinkage due to water loss or chemical shrinkage. It all happens. And repairs are inherently different. And that's one thing that we always hear about from Fred. We always hear a lot about a lot of separate different codes. They're a lot of very different from new construction, because in new construction, we can make it crack really any way we want. And that's kind of cool. We could put in joints. We can change the placement sizes. We can checkerboard. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. In repair, you get stuck with what you start with. And that's kind of the beauty of it. You got somebody else's problems that you're dealing with, and you get paid more money that way sometimes. So repair is a lot more sensitive new construction, because you're always dealing with that restraint of the existing structure. You're always trying to put new material back to something that's already there and letting it shrink. And these are some pictures from a restrained shrinkage test that was done and developed by SPS. It was called the SPS plate test. It's not very common, but there's a piece of metal with some epoxy and sand on it that provides restraint. It's clamped at one end. You put the material in it, you let it cure. And we did some of these back in the lab way back 20-something years ago. And it was unbelievable how much these things curled. Restrained on the bottom, they just cranked it right back up. It was unbelievable, and really highlights the situation of what happens with restraint. It causes that curling. So we get into dimensional compatibility, and this is where Benoit did my presentation for me. Thank you. We really need to think about the restrained shrinkage potential of the material. Restrained shrinkage, not necessarily drying shrinkage. That test before where the gentleman was doing a drying shrinkage test, that's fine. That'll never crack because it's not restrained. It'll shrink, but it'll never crack. When we talk about control of cracking, we need to understand what's preventing that structure from shrinking, or what's not allowing that material to, not allowing it to shrink, and what's the impact of that going to be. So existing structure, place new material, where's the water go? Where's that Where's that mixed water come from? We know we all start with concrete. We add more water than we need in order to get it placed. That water's got to go somewhere. And in repairs, it can't really go into the existing structure. It generally goes one side. Where you lose the water is where you get your shrinkage. And that's when you get problems. Some slides. These are basically recovering Benoit's effects. Looking at, again, a repair situation, original concrete, water loss in the repair material, shrinkage and cracks on this face. Understanding this restraint and controlling it, and Ben talked about protective repairs. The best protective repair material you can get is actually old chewing gum. It's flexible. It sticks to anything and just, absolutely cannot get it off of the material. If you get a little bit more compressive strength out of it, it would be the best repair material ever. And you just can't get it off. So that's a future master builders material, Fred. Ben already thankfully did this. Effective differences in modulus elasticity, whether it's in parallel or whether it's in series. Higher modulus attracts more load, or the lower modulus ends up allowing it to deform more if it's in parallel. So talking about the potential for limiting cracking in repair materials, this concept of extensibility of the repair material, it's hard to do. It's really hard. Some of the best tests, I think, are these restrained shrinkage. The Catino ring, it's an ASTM, no, standard now. Did you develop that one? Was that, you work on that one? Okay, that's what I thought.
I did not do the development.
Okay, that's what I thought. That is probably one of the best tests that you don't see results from very often, because that inner ring of steel provides the restraint, and you look at when it cracks and how big the cracks are, it gives you an idea. As Benoit mentioned, matching material properties to the substrate, that's critical for elastic modulus. Minimizing free drying shrinkage. Drying shrinkage isn't everything, but if you minimize it, that's always better. And then curing. All critical things to actually limiting cracking in repair materials. And I needed to have some of the wisdom of Fred Goodwin. And I took this as a picture. Basically, when Fred does it, it's all a series of steps and you go through. So if you follow it through, you either get to the bottom or it's really true. This is really how you resolve problems in concrete repair. So a little bit more, getting a little bit more serious about the impact of Fred Goodwin. I wanted some pictures of Fred Goodwin. And as Lee Ying mentioned, I'm currently a TAC member and I took over from Fred. And obviously Fred, he says a tremendous technical resource for all of us, is an ACI committee chair, tremendous leadership and documents. But I'm going to give you a little bit of perspective as a committee chair that had Fred as his TAC contact. And what he was like as a TAC member. And I'm hearing about, Larry can tell you a little bit about the legacy of a TAC member. He made sure you followed the rules. 100%. You will follow the rules. And when you're stuck on a repair code with a big deadline coming up and you want to do something less than a 30-day ballot, you better get permission. Right, Fred? Right. And I did that. I asked for that permission a lot, as people know.
And you always got it.
And I always got it. But another big thing that Fred advanced in this industry is the concept that repair is a separate practice from new construction, and he reflects that in a lot of what he did in ACI. And this concept, and this is intact, that this really got reflected in. All committees are important, and I'll tell a little bit of a story. Let's see in ACI 3. All right, so ACI 318 is one of the bigger committees, and they kind of had a habit of ignoring TAC comments. And Fred basically said, no, they're going to be properly addressed. And that was great because it really needed to be said that all these committees, all of them need to be treated the same. And thank you for that, Fred. Really important. All committees are the same and everybody, all of us are important. But also as a committee chair, I got this picture. I wanted to have some selfies, but I don't think, well, we don't do selfies. But I got this picture from Quebec, and I was sitting in the front of the room trying to lead the committee, and these are look at the three guys I got in back of me. Peter, that I zoomed that in, that is not a beer. Pete, everybody loves Pete. Everybody loves Pete. And then Fred. Everybody's like looking at me, making sure I'm following the rules. So that's the impact of Fred Goodwin, a little bit more. A couple more things. I wanted to actually have the logo here change with each slide, because every time you met Fred, he had a different patch on his shirt, whether it was Master Builders, Degussa, BASF, Master Builders. So it made it okay to change firms. That's good. He made it okay to have fun slides. Most important thing, when you went into a committee meeting, and this is going back 20-something years, it didn't matter who you are, Fred always made you feel welcome, and that's super important for younger people that are not younger, that want to just get involved. He made everybody feel welcome, and that's critical. So from everybody, thank you.